It was an idea that was reinforced over the years. It was an idea that literally dictated how I spent the last 10 years of my life. And that idea is the IDEAU Foundation. Now, IDEAU's mission objective is purely and very simply to empower women to possess and apply the skills that they need to go on to fulfilling their dreams. Its core principle stems from the fact that if they can acquire those skills to fulfill their dreams, then they must give back to the community to make it a better place. Now, IDEAU achieves the empowering of women to fulfill their dreams through 5 distinct projects. And those projects are, firstly, IDEAU Challenge. And what this project looks at is to help women to recognize and identify, okay, what are the obstacles, the challenges that are preventing you from following your dreams. We have IDEAU Explore, where we look at, okay, what is your passion plus your talent to help you enable you to go on to doing something that you're passionate about. IDEAU Mentor provides a mentoring service so that you can go on to putting that action plan into action. Slice of Your World is providing a shadowing service to those women who wish to go into a particular area of their interest to give them that further inspiration. And finally, Sister You Rock is for those women who have been through and walked the IDEAU journey. We re-invite them to come back into the foundation to not only be an additional source of inspiration, but to share their stories with like-minded people. Now, because the concept of IDEAU is to fulfill your dreams and then give back to humanity, give back to society, it's absolutely fundamental to understand that in order for that true change to occur, you must do so by supporting each other, regardless of your background, regardless of your race, religion, or creed. And so for me, the target audience for IDEAU has always focused on what I call a group of women, which I call the forgotten ones. And this is a group of women who may not be, or society is either given up on them, or they may not be classified as great achievers. Now, the reason for focusing on this group of women is IDEAU's ethos suggests, and which is something that I firmly believe in, which is everybody has something to give back to society. And no matter how small that contribution is a valuable one. So this is a term that we use in-house, which is providing somebody a hook of hope. And that hook of hope is to drive home the message to these women that if you feel your contribution is limited or small, it's not only valuable to you as an individual, but many individuals pursuing their dream and then giving back to communities will allow a true change to occur. My journey on becoming the first graduate in my family out of 7 siblings had many barriers, many obstacles. It was littered with trials, challenges, and it was something that was completely foreign to my family and my community, which is why they never supported me initially for me to go and pursue my academia. Now, along that journey, I experienced growing up seeing a lot of violence, a lot of inequality, injustice on different levels within my communities, but more importantly, being fearful of voicing out your opinion. And for me, growing up in one of the poorest boroughs in London, Tower Hamlets, it was further limited because of cultural inequalities. And by that I mean the fact that I was A, a woman, B, because I was one of the younger members of my family because I had 4 older brothers, and thirdly, because I came from a very poor background where we had very little money. So therefore, my room for growth and opportunities at that time felt very, very limited. But I knew deep down inside me that for me, I could either be a statistic and become yet a married woman at a very young age before I hit 18, or I do something that's quite unthinkable in my community and which very much break the boundaries. So I dared to think outside of the box. I dared to find the courage within me so that I can pursue, and eventually I successfully did complete my academia. Now, along my journey and all the stories that I can sit here tell you, there's been one common theme throughout that journey, and that is the sheer lack of humanity. Because I went to many people asking for help, so they either refused to help me, they pretended they did not know me, or they just simply ignore the situation as a whole. And through this journey, I realized that we can't be a group of people where we just don't seem to care about each other, because we haven't been built in this way. We haven't been designed in this way. Surely there must be some inner capability for us to want to give something back, for us to care for others. And it's through this journey that I've had some positive, which is there are people out there, and I've had groups of people throughout every stage of my life who were willing to help me, because they always allowed me to think of the bigger picture. They've always allowed me to refocus and re-energize myself so that I can pursue my dreams. So this question I always ask myself is, how do we get to a state where the majority, in my experience through voluntary work, community work, outside of my day job, is how have we come to a state where we do not seem to care about each other? We've got two images on the screen. The top image is the image from the London riots that everybody that was based in London would be very familiar with. The bottom picture is of a war-torn country where people are suffering. Now, through my experiences, my journey, my work that I do with different women, my conclusion is that we allow such things to happen because we've stopped caring. So my question is, how can we start to care? And the ethos of I dare you, which is something that's coupled with a quote that my dad used to say all the time. And my dad used to say, what you put in is what you get out. And I firmly believe in that, because if you invest in your communities, if you invest in humanity, not only do you need to lead by example, but hopefully you see the fruits of that labor come back to you. Now, for me, along my journey, I've always had to persevere. I've always had to have patience. I've always had to remind myself things might be going really bad over here. However, I've got my health, I've got my family, I've got great friends around me. And this is something I've always had to keep on reminding myself. But these three elements that you can see behind me is something that I've always maintained in the forefront of my mind, because I truly believe that without having belief in the heart, without having the speech of your tongue and the actionings of your limbs to make your dreams become a reality, and if you leave one or two out of this equation of three elements, then you will not be able to have the impact that you would like to have. You will not be able to go and fulfill your dreams. It may be very limited. And so for me, I've always had people, notable figures, some you may agree with, some you may disagree with, who I've used as a source of inspiration to help me always pick myself up and help put these challenges to one side. And even till this day, I have another Braveheart moment, and that's the resistance that I received because of the way I run I Dare You. The I Dare You helps women from all walks of life. It is not particular to one particular specific community. And this resistance I experience, it comes from the same community that I was receiving 10, 12 years ago when I was trying to go to university. So these challenges will always happen, but in an indirect way, I'm very grateful for those challenges because it drives my motivation to do more. So Mahatma Gandhi was as a world changer, as I called him, because he dreamt of a country that was free, people was treated fairly and justly, and he said, be the change you want to see in the world. Mother Teresa, another example, where she set up missionary charities to help the less fortunate in society, and she said, love begins by taking care of the closest ones, the ones at home. Now, I chose these two specific quotes to emphasize why I Dare You's work is so important and how it can successfully, and has been successfully, slowly, one woman at a time, one group of women at a time, to bring back humanity into people where we can start to care about each other. It's because if you want to see the change, you can't be a hypocrite. You must be the change yourself. You must implement that in your day-to-day activities and showcase to others that this is what the change is about. And what better way to do that than to start with your own locality, with your own communities. And if every one of us in this room and those who are watching can do that, surely we'll be in a better place where we start to care about each other. But my personal inspiration was my father. My father passed away now for a fair while, but he used to say something to me all the time, because I was a daddy's girl. After 4 boys, I popped along. And he said, do not fail without trying. And this always gives me a source of strength, purely because my dad used to say that there's always going to be knockbacks. but you will never be totally satisfied with your dream if you don't try, and you have to have failures along the way. So Braveheart taught me to be fearless. Braveheart taught me that for you to have a huge impact, you need a collective of people who share the same vision and the same passion as you. So I dared myself to go and pursue my academia. I dared myself to utilize my education, which I initially viewed as an escape route, to use it as a tool to give back to humanity, give back to communities. So today I dare each and one of you to say hello to your neighbors. I dare you to go back to your localities and help and care for your communities. I dare you to become a hook of hope for someone. Thank you.